In this video, I want to talk a little bit about my struggle to become an artist and live my creative dream, which was very simply that I love to be involved with my creativity. I love to be in that creative flow, and that was the goal and my aim and my desire and my dream. That seems like a pretty simple dream, but life is complicated and I struggled a lot to find that place, that daily routine where I find the time and the space and enter into the creative flow. So my first struggle was finding time. I'm starting now from a time of when I had my kids, because if I tell the story from before, it's a very different story. But when I had my first baby, finding time became an issue, to the point where I actually put my creativity to one side for 4 years because I found it was too frustrating and too difficult. My interest at the time was working in concrete and sculpting in wax using materials that were not good and child safe, and I needed too much space, and it was completely impossible to drag out my things when my little one would have a nap and then put it away, although I did at times, but it was very difficult, and it didn't really, I didn't succeed at that. I found it, I got so frustrated and so angry when I get interrupted that it just was much better to put that to one side and not try to do more than the one thing, which was being a mom at the time. So I focused on being a mom in those years, but it made a huge difference to my life when I started tag teaming with my sister. And I don't know about you, but if you have a little baby and you're desiring to get back in your creative flow, then an idea could be, if you have a close friend who also have a baby, that you could tag team for each other, or a sister. I know this is an incredible luxury to have in your life, that you have someone where I would take her baby, she would have her creative time, and we would swap over. She would take my baby and I would have my creative time, and it just worked so beautifully, and both of us kept developing, and as the babies got bigger, we could make those hours longer and longer. So that really worked. But as I grew in my artwork, I started focusing more and more on drawing. I realized that I find a huge satisfaction in the act of drawing, and it didn't have to be concrete. It didn't have to be resin and silicone and chemicals and difficult things to manage. I could just keep things a lot simpler and get my creativity expressed in drawing. So when I found that joy in drawing again, my setup actually became very simple. This goes into my second point, which was actually finding space. So finding space was really difficult when I was dealing with my sculpting materials. There is another element to it as well, where once I got started, that I found that if I had chosen drawing from the beginning, I would have been able to continue that all through the challenges of motherhood as well, just in some way, shape or form. But this connects a little bit to my second point, which was finding space. It was a big issue to try to be creative, and being creative just is messy and takes up a lot of space. For sure it does for me. But as I started my work, I managed to clear the attic and overcome that obstacle the really hard way. I cleared the whole attic, and then we had the whole attic done, put windows in, which, you know, not everybody have the chance to do that whole complicated maneuver. And the silly thing is that, well, I don't regret doing the attic, because that was a wonderful thing that we did. But you don't need, if you're interested in drawing, you don't need a whole attic setup. I found that I had quite a big breakthrough at a time in my life where I was actually just sitting in my bed with a sketchbook. that's when I really started to develop, I don't know, that's when I really started to access my creativity, when I got down to the really simple way of expressing it, where I just had a sketchbook, I had a piece of wood, and I actually was videoing my drawings that I was doing in my sketchbook. And I didn't need a really huge, beautiful studio filled with sculpting materials to access my creativity. It was there all along and it was available. So I think I overcomplicated things massively. However, I still love sculpture, and I will get back into that again. And I also have enjoyed my workspace hugely, but all I'm saying is that your creativity can be accessed on a much smaller scale, and it's a really good idea to start small. I overcame it the hard way. So I started out in the attic making sculptures, and then later found my biggest breakthroughs actually just sitting in my bed drawing in a sketchbook. So my third obstacle, that was my first obstacles, was finding time with kids. Second obstacle was finding a space, where I ended up actually finding a lot of breakthroughs and freedom and joy just by sitting in my bed. And then finally finding reference photographs in the beginning was such a difficult task for me. I could just spend so long just searching for inspiration. That I managed to overcome that struggle. Instead of finding the perfect reference and then changing that reference so that it is mine and I'm not infringing on anyone's work, or finding the reference by taking a lot of time trying to photograph someone and put the light on their face and get the perfect photograph, that it became a lot easier, where I could just look at something and very loosely work from that picture. Look at and kind of choosing my reference photos very loosely. But one big thing that changed things for me a lot was when I discovered AI. So I downloaded this AI image generator, and I started using prompts, and I would get a bunch of photographs out of one session of generating a bunch of photos, and then I always have something I can use freely. I don't have to worry about infringing on anybody's work. I can use them in my videos, and that was quite a big turning point for me, where once I started using AI generated images, that released me into my creative flow. All of those things were huge obstacles to overcome on the way to achieving my dream and living my dream, which I am right now. That was a very simple dream. I just wanted to enjoy the creative flow, enjoy living with my creativity and being engaged with it daily. So I think these are just so common obstacles. They're practical things you need to overcome in your journey towards becoming an artist. And I just would love to hear your stories, if you found ways to find time, find space and references, and any other things that you might experience that have held you back from entering into your creative flow. I love living my dream, and I hope you're also living your dream. It's always easier said than done, but it's so worth it when you get there. Well, I hope that was kind of interesting for you, but let me know if you find this helpful. Yeah, I so appreciate your comments and feedback. Thank you for everybody who's encouraged me. I really appreciate it so much, and thank you for being here, listening to what I had to say. I hope you have a really good time drawing. I hope you will be back again, because I will be back with more that hopefully we can draw together.
And just to quickly let you know, this reference is mine. I sourced it in AI, and I've chosen to share this with you in a way that if you create artwork from it, painting and drawing, and you want to make prints and sell the original drawing that you've made, I'm more than happy for you to do this. Let's support each other as artists. Yeah, hope you can make use of it. So take care and all the best.